Jonathan Reynolds almost got himself into trouble with the Speaker yesterday for letting his emotions get the better of him in the chamber. Now, you can't call somebody a liar, even if they're lying, because it's against the rules. It's a silly rule, I know, but if you think about it, the chamber could just descend into chaos with everyone shouting liar at each other, which doesn't look very honourable. But even so, when you feel passionately about something, it can slip a little. I just think that happened with Jonathan Reynolds. Because Kemi Badenoch doesn't have a plan for the Conservatives and she doesn't know which direction she's taking her party, at this point they're just opposing everything for the sake of opposing stuff because they think that's what oppositions need to do without putting much thought into it. And so far, they keep getting caught out opposing stuff that they implemented in government. And this is just another case. So there's not really much for me to say because I'm going to play the full clip and Jonathan Reynolds explains why the Shadow Secretary of State is just lying.
This is a sad day for the 1,100 workers at the Luton Vauxhall factory, and our thoughts are first and foremost with them and their families. They are the most recent custodians in a long history that goes back to 1905, when their factory opened the doors for the first time. Luton-built white vans are icons of British business, representing to many the hard graft and skill of millions of traders, the self-employed and small businesses across this country. Mr. Speaker, we on these benches stand by these hard-working people. We're on the side of the plant's workers because we know the value of skilled work and the transformative power of British business. The closure of the Luton plant, I fear, is just a down payment on jobs that will be lost under this government's relentless attacks on industry, its neglect of the realities of business, and its failure to meet its promise not to raise taxes. The government owes it to the plant's workers to at least be honest. This decision is the direct result of a government policy that is simply unworkable for industry. Stellantis told us as much when they said that this decision was made in the context of the zero emissions mandate. The Society of Motor Manufacturers and Traders has said that the UK situation is particularly acute, with arguably the toughest targets and most accelerated timeline on the world. And there are unsustainable business costs undermining UK industry. The government's policy on zero-emission vehicles is a jobs killer. They say they've been talking since July. So why today, Mr. Speaker, this panicked U-turn when it's already too late? Under the last government, we acknowledged that the previous vehicle mandate was too stringent. We took the decision to push this back, recognising the impact that it would have on industry. We listened to Unite the Union on this. His party unilaterally reversed those changes and brought the deadline forward to 2030. Instead of Unite, he listened to the member for Climate Central in Doncaster North. But even today, the Secretary of State speaks of ending the sale of new purely petrol and diesel cars by 2030. He's tried to slip a subtle change in there, the consequences of which are significant. And whilst I welcome that for once this government has listened to business, he appears to be misleading them at the same time. Can he explain exactly what his policy is? There are real costs, as we see today, to these targets. And instead of having the courage to stand up and recognise that he was wrong, his solution appears to be yet another consultation which is yet to take place. How many automotive businesses has the Secretary of State spoken to about these targets? And in any of his conversations with Stellantis, did they ask him at any point to remove the fines on their business? Has he met with the Right Honourable Member for Doncaster to entreat him to row back from his ideological pursuit of domestic targets, ignoring the fact that they are exporting jobs, exporting British jobs, Mr. Speaker, to more carbon-intense economies? But most of all, we mustn't ignore the elephant in the room about the timing of this decision. This follows a budget that has declared war on business, a triple whammy of tax rises that removes incentives for growth and investment, a 25 billion jobs tax which has left boardrooms across the country putting recruitment and pay rises on hold, and alongside an employment rights bill written hand in hand with his union paymasters that's already deterring businesses from hiring in Britain. Businesses are ringing the alarm bells. The CBI, the British Retail Consortium, UK Hospitality and the Society of Motor Manufacturers have all said the pressures on business are too much to swallow. Open letter after open letter, statement after statement, Labour are not on their side. They lied about their plans. They're attacking working people, and now they're attacking the vans they go to work in. The businessmen and women who gave Labour the benefit of the doubt are regretting it. When will the Secretary of State listen? When will his government abandon its attack on British business? Will he lead the charge to change course? And why won't he suspend the fines and targets which have led to today's tragedy?
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, that is the single most dishonest statement I've ever heard in the time in this House.
I'm sure the honourable gentleman will be withdrawing that comment.
Mr. Speaker, I'd like to clarify some of the points the honourable gentleman raised on the other bench. The ZEV mandate policy is a...
We're on the same side. We'll be quiet, won't we? Secretary of State.
The ZEV mandate policy, the Shadow Minister mentioned, is a policy of the previous government, of which he is aware. The changes the previous government made were not to the ZEV mandate. They were not pragmatic on it. They changed the destination and kept the fines and the ramp-up and the thresholds exactly the same. So what they did was give no flexibility or pragmatism in how that policy operated, but still undermined the transition, leading to a massive reduction in consumer confidence. And he asks, has the honourable gentleman talked to industry? I was the guest speaker at the SMMT dinner last night. 1,000 people there from every bit of the automotive sector. They are absolutely clear that it's the destination they support. It's the Conservative government, the previous Conservative government's policy as to how this operates, which is causing them the problems. And as I said in the statement, if he was listening, or if he'd read it in advance, 10 days in to this government, we were told this plant was likely to close. It is on this side of the House that we've acted with pragmatism, been willing to look at any part of this policy in order to make sure this outcome didn't happen. The simple truth was that it was too late after 14 years of failure to be able to put this right. So I just have to say to him, with all politeness, he is out of touch with industry, he is out of touch with workers, he's even out of touch with what the previous Conservative government did, and I think that speaks for itself.
It's not only politicians that you have to be careful of what they're saying is true, it's also the media. And to find out what that's about, well, you'll need to watch the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.